का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Continuing the commentary on Japji Sahib, I'm going to attempt to do two parties today because as I read them, I find that they are related.
Okay.
We have
Can we restart?
It's
already started.
Done until Tapya na jaye, kita na hoye. It's important to reiterate that in Japji, Guru Nanak Sahib gives us steps towards realizing our own divinity, towards reaching that goal of oneness with Akal Purakh. In the Mool Mantra, Guru Sahib starts off by describing that indescribable reality, and then in the subsequent bodies, which are given to us as steps, he gives us a roadmap of what to do and what not to do, both where to go and what the pitfalls are. The next two bodies, in my opinion, are the pitfalls that we want to be aware of, so that we kind of skirt around them and not go there and keep our progress going. Bani is timeless. Bani is gender neutral, spoken to the soul. But Bani is also contextual. The similes and metaphors are from the times that the Gurus lived in. However, it is not limited to that time. It is not limited to that context. What we as Sikhs, as students, as learners, as people who are attempting to progress on the path of Gurmat, what we need to do is, we need to extrapolate from that and see how does it apply to us today. The Guru has condemned certain ways of life, certain practices, and it's not enough for us to say, oh yeah, we don't believe in that. It's enough, what we need to do is let Gurbani hold up a mirror to us and for us to see, wow, this is what the Guru said. And then consider and reflect upon, well, what does it mean to us today? Are we doing anything? Am I doing something that falls in the same category? And this is how I want us to look at the next two points.
I think that's an extremely important point, and I want to just extend it in one other direction. There were no Sikhs at the time of the Guru, right? Sikhism as a community, as a religion came later. So when the Gurus talk about the life of Hindus, Pandits, Muslims, Yogis, etc., we need to extrapolate that to Sikhs also, and we don't often do that. We say that, we are against all the Hindu rituals, but then we have to say, are we doing the same rituals as Sikhs? What he says to the Muslims, this is your prayer 5 times a day, it should really mean this. You should extrapolate that to a nitname. A nitname should also mean this. All those things we have to extrapolate, not just take it. We don't do what the Hindus and Muslims used to do, but then we may be doing the same things again, but calling them by different names.
It's not about getting complacent and saying, oh, we're Sikhs, we don't do this. It's about saying, as Sikhs, what is it that we're doing that falls into this category? So with that in mind, let's look at Tirath Nama Chetas Pava Vinapani Te Naikari. Going to Tiraths, going to pilgrimages was a very big thing at the time, and it still is. A couple of years ago, they were talking about the Kumbh Mela, and tens of thousands of people were there. And getting a dip in the river at that time is considered such a big deal that people from all over the world go there. Some go there as a matter of curiosity, some go there as a matter of faith, some go there to be part of this whole fanfare, whatever the reasons. The Guru here is saying that Tirath, going to pilgrimages, bathing in rivers, doing these rituals which fall under the category of doing good dharmic deeds, spiritual practices, right? Going to Tirath is a spiritual practice. It's supposedly a good practice, just like some other practices like dhan karna, like several other practices, wearing certain kinds of robes, putting the tilak, having a certain garb in the name of religion. All these are considered dharmic or spiritual practices. So Tirath was one of them. Here the Guru is saying, Tirath nama jetis pama. If it pleases my Lord, if it pleases my beloved. What does it mean if it pleases my beloved? What exactly does it mean? What pleases my beloved is when I am living in the hukam of my beloved, when I am following what the essence of my beloved is, when we know what the beloved is, what the guns are, what the virtues are, what that essence is, when I am living according to that, when I am imbibing the qualities, the goodness of Akal Purakh, the Nirpauta, the Nirvaita, and on, the kindness, the compassion, the forgiveness, the dhan, the being a benefactor, all of those things. When I am living and imbibing that is when I am pleasing to my Akal Purakh, when I am pleasing to my Guru. Tirath nama jetis pama. When I am doing something that is in accordance to what my Guru has taught me, then that Tirath means something. In another context, Guru Sahib says, part of Tirath is going and bathing in the rivers, doing all those rituals that are supposed to purify you. Very important. There is a difference between cleanliness and purification. By bathing, we can cleanse ourselves, but we cannot purify ourselves. What the Guruji has told us and taught us is a methodology, a technology for purifying ourselves. And that doesn't happen with bathing. And that doesn't happen with going to Tirath. It happens by bathing the mind, by immersing and soaking the mind in Guru's wisdom. And that is what is pleasing to the Guru. Tirath nama jetis pama vin pane ke nae kari. Without pleasing my Guru, my Akal Purakh, my Satguru, none of these are to any avail. Now, let's pause here for a second and think, what are some of the things that we are doing that fall into the category of this ritualistic appeasing of the forces that we think are powerful? What are some of the things? Anybody? What are some of the things that we are doing that fall into the category of doing Tirath? We're also doing Tirath. Hemkund Sahib has become such a huge Tirath.
Taking a dip in the Varsa.
Taking a dip, doing the Bali thing, right? Now, do we think that those are fine? Or do we think they're not? Remember here, to me, and again this is my opinion, if it pleases, the operative phrase here is if it pleases my Guru. If along with that bathing in Harimandir, we understand that the real Amrita Sarovar is within me, it is the Naam with which I have to soak myself and in which I have to immerse myself, then that Amritsar Sarovar has meaning. But if it is just something we do and come out of, and we do it more as a touristy thing, or we do it more as a Tirath thing, or we do it purely as a ritual mindlessly, then it is to no avail.
Do you think that itself is making us better?
Yes.
Without doing the real nouns?
Without doing the simple.
Without
doing that which transforms our life, which makes the man that is mala immaculate. That is the bathing, that is the soaking, that is the immersion. That's me.
There was a movie with the Pingala going dip and getting it eradicated with all his problems. Is that true, bad? What's that story about that?
I think it's the metaphor that's important. if my mind is a Pingla and it takes a bath and then in the Nam Simran it comes out pure, then that's very true.
But the movie was not about the mind, it was about the guy really getting, I'm just saying, I don't know whether it is a true Saki or it's what, I
You
don't
know,
know.
I do not want to decry the power of faith. There are people, even during these times, that have gone to Harmandir Sahib or to any place that they have felt like going to, or have gone nowhere but stayed very much at home and done the part, the prayer, the Simran with their entire being immersed in it, and they have benefited. It's about what you bring to it, the mindfulness that you bring to what you are doing, the entire essence of your being when it is immersed in the essence of the Supreme. That is the key. I don't want to say that all of those things are not true.
No, I agree with you. I believe Nam Simran and prayer and these things can have a lot of enormous power in terms of health and healing. But the specific miracles described in the movie or in the Sakis, I don't know if they are true, and even if they are, it doesn't matter. The reality is something deeper, that's what matters.
The key here is, we don't need to worry about what is happening to other people and what they are saying and is it true or does it have, or not. What we need to focus on is what is meaningful. What is the Guru saying here? What is the Guru teaching us here? The Guru is saying, come to me with your heart, mind and soul. Become mine. And everything that you wish for is going to happen. Vritti kade na hovai, jan ki ardas. Become that jan. Jatu mera hoye re, sab jat tera hoye. I mean, what are these little things that we call miracles? They are nothing in the realm of the omnipotence and omniscience, right? Anything can happen. Prabhave bin saas te rakhe. We say when the breath is over, it's over. So it is faith, it is becoming, it is being, it is complete surrender. And when it is complete surrender, then you know what? Everything is acceptable. But we're not at that level. We don't. We operate. I had always felt, this is in my own journey, that there are two motivating forces. One is fear and one is love. Listening to Professor Saab, I learned of a third one. These two I felt intuitively, but listening to Professor Saab, I learned a third one, which is greed, lalach. That lalach is operative, not just in the temporal world, not for material things, but also for spiritual things. We are lalchi when it comes to, oh, maine path kar liya. Oh, main inna daan kar liya, right? Inna daan kar liya ki hun gurdwara de vich mere naam di plate hai. And the whole world and the posterity will know what a good thing I've done.
That is not just for spirituality, but there is a positive one too, like lalach hongun kauch hongun, there's lots of things like that.
No, I'm not saying it in a bad
So
way.
spirituality is a good thing, but some of this is lalach for
Shobha.
Or
for your name.
Or believe I've done something better, or those kinds of things.
Yes.
Feeding your own ego.
Feeding your own ego. And that is lalach. But that lalach is also operative in the spiritual field. And yes, as Guruji says, that's a good thing. However, our path, as I understand it, is the path of love. Which has no expectations either. Love for the pure spontaneity, the experience of that love. That's why Guruji says, okay, come with your head on the palm of your hand.
One good example where I have my cousin in India. She does all this part and she just keeps learning all this stuff. But I was asking her, why do you not do a lot of stuff yourself? She has all servants and other stuff. I'm very greedy. Let them do the work. God has given me all these facilities so that I can concentrate on this. So from doing her day-to-day stuff, she has one or two servants. She does all the cooking and everything is taken care for her, and she said, I can just spend all my time doing this stuff, which she does. So that's also kind of a greed, I would say, but in a good way or bad way, I don't know.
Hard work as is a very strong ethic of Sikh. There is a Saki, I mean, I don't want to digress too much because I want to come back here, but there is a Saki relating to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, where he asks for water from a young fellow, and he gives it and his hands are very soft. And Babaji says, have you ever toiled? Have you ever done any hard work? And he kind of says, no. And he says, well, I want you to go do some hard work yourself. Guru Nanak Sahib plowed the field himself. It's very important to remember, Kaal Khai Ke Jaat. Hard work is a very important pillar of our spiritual journey.
Everybody at different stages, they will be treated different things.
Yes, that is also true. And
it's fine for some people to focus just on spirituality in their right stage.
And they're working hard over there. I just want to say one example here, very recent. I was at the Gurdwara recently, in the middle of the day, and there was this woman, I think I may have shared this before. She was not a Sikh, or did not have the label of a Sikh. I really hate to call anyone a Sikh or not a Sikh, but she spoke in Hindi, and it did not seem like that she was from this tradition. But she asked me to read the Vak to her and explain it to her. Okay? And then she said that she got late today because she had to take 3 buses to get here to the Gurdwara, and so she felt bad that she was a little late and wasn't there present at the reading of the Vak. So I said, okay, I'm going back in a little bit. Would you like a ride back? And she said, no, Hali mein jaake Pandyan ki seva karni. I honestly, I'm telling you, I felt a little guilty that I'd never done that. That I've never gone to the Gurdwara and done Pandya Ki Seva. And I related that to someone in my family, and she just kind of, my sister-in-law, and she just kind of did it, and she says, Jessi, toi kar de raha jo karni hai. Don't try to do everything that everyone does. And that sort of speaks to what Viji said, that, and Papa always used to say, that Vaheguru Ji ne sabnu apna apna chadu kraya hai, sabdi duty lai hai, which is not to say that I shouldn't be doing Pandyan Ki Seva, but that I admired her for that love that she had, that she wants to hear the Guru's Vak in all humility, and then she writes it down and takes it with her, and then she wants to do this. So that is her pilgrimage, but the love with which she's doing it is what touched me deeply. And I think it's all about that. It's all about the motive, how it's done, how mindfully, with how much love, how much immersion, how much expectation of reward, etc., etc. Tirath nama chetis pama, vin pane ke nai kari, cheti sirat upai vekha, vin karma ke mile gai. The Guru says, wherever I look, wherever I see, everybody, all the creatures, all the beings, all the human beings, everyone that I gaze upon, they are all, without good actions, there is no hope for everyone. What are they going to get? So good actions, imbibing of good virtues, living a good life, making the right choices in our life, is what this game is about.
This comes right after the previous line. He's saying go for real good actions and not just the superficial ritualistic karma.
So that is your tira, your good actions, your good karma, your inner transformation, the removing of the mal from your mind through the immersion in the Naam, and really becoming that pure divine human being that you have come into this world to become, is your tira. In another Vak, Guruji says that if bathing in rivers was such a big deal and led you to liberation, then the Mendaks, the frogs, would be the first ones to get liberated. Jal ke Mendak,
जल के मेंढक जगत हो गए,
मेंढक
मेंढक का नाम है,
मेंढक
जैसे मेंढक तैसे जल,
So Viji knows the exact lines, but basically, he's given some very down-to-earth metaphors and similes that just hit you. It's like, wow, I don't want to be that meander. I don't want just the ritual or just the cleansing of my body. Yes, the dirt will come off maybe, but my impure mind, I shall carry it with me everywhere. And the game is to purify the mind. I gaze upon all the created beings without the karma of good actions. What are they going to receive? This is the literal translation that Sansing Khalsa has done of it. So let's come back to, just for a few seconds here, to reflect upon what are some of the things that we are mindlessly doing that fall into the category of Tiratna. Akhand Path is a big deal, getting Akhand Path done, right? But we pay people to do Akhand Path, and we don't even sit there and listen to it. Rakhi does it have any meaning? We go there to the Gurdwara and we take circles around Nishan Sahib. We go around kneading the pida of Sikh Guru Granth Sahib. We do so many of those things and we just keep on doing them because we've seen somebody else doing it and we think there must be some goodness in it or some virtue in it. I think it's very important to examine what we are doing. Sikhi, Sikhya, Gur, Vichaar. Reflect. Why are we doing? What are we doing? In Harmandir Sahib, if you even watch the live TV that they used to relay, amazing number of rumalas. And you know what they used to do? They used to touch them on Sikh Guru Granth Sahib and put them. What's going on here? People are coming with more and more rumalas and they're touching them on Sikh Guru Granth Sahib and then putting them. And God knows what happens to them. Some people say that they are recycled, they are sold back. I don't know. I don't want to get too concerned about what happens to them. But the point is, they don't need rumalas there. They don't need more rumalas. They spend hundreds of dollars getting those beautiful rumalas. What do you want to do? How do you want to contribute? Think about more meaningful ways of giving with your life, of giving to the community, of giving to the poor, of doing what Guru Sahib did. He has given us examples in the stories of Sacha Sauda. Take up a cause that is worthy and meaningful and think, do you want to keep on doing that? And then there is that line people read when they give a new Rumala, that I'm doing this so that my honor is maintained, right? Somebody might remember it, but basically I remember the essence of it, that I'm giving this to you so that you maintain my honor. Excuse me? There are so many contradictions, and I think as students of Gurbani, as people who are trying to really have Gurbani be the beacon in our life.
I think we have created so many rituals around the fact that the Guru Granth Sahib is our eternal Guru. Around that we have personified the Guru Granth Sahib so much that we've created all kinds of rituals around it. Plus we are keeping it away from the world.
We are literally keeping it under wraps.
If you do that, you will disrespect our Guru. And under that guise, the Guru needs protection by us, so that Sikhs were the custodians of Gurbani, which is the universal scripture for the whole world. They're in fact keeping it away from everybody by saying it's our Guru and you will disrespect it, so don't come near it.
We are not encouraging scholastic studies. We threaten to behead anyone that says anything. Why?
It's very hard for somebody to get a copy of the Guru Granth Sahib.
Yeah.
You have to have 5, 6 with you and take it a certain way. If you want to bring it abroad, you have to have a chartered plane on which to bring it, because you can't put the Guru Granth Sahib in any luggage and have it shipped. So there's so many restrictions on it that it's harder and harder for people to access it. Fortunately, none of it works without the internet. So that is good work around our own stupidity.
There is a balance. I think it's very important to revere Sikh Guru Granth Sahib and give it the honor and respect and regard that an entity or something that gives us so much knowledge, that reverence needs to be given. However, when you take it to an extreme where it becomes prohibitive to even reach out to it, then it becomes counterproductive. And I think all of those things as aware Sikhs.
Well, I do Mathate, I do Vichaar, Sukhasan, I do spiritual rituals, and they're meaningful to me. But beyond a certain point, having our own respect and reverence.
When did this all start though? But it started during Guru's time?
Some of it, I mean, the legitimate part of it, but I think most of the ridiculous part has happened during the last century. And I think a lot has to do with the whole elected SGPC business, because they have to create their own.
I'm talking about maybe some of this respect, the way it is given to Guru Granth Sahib.
It is said,
is coming from Guru himself.
It is said, if it's true or not, it is said that Guru Arjan Dev Ji started that, carried it on his own head and gave it the greatest respect, chanted a lower place himself. Compared to the
including the Rumalas and covering everybody's hair who entered the shrine.
We don't know the details of that, of course, from that time. But certainly it was treated with great respect and treated the way you would
Which is the way it should be.
Person.
Yeah.
So that part is okay. I'm just talking about being too ritualistic and taking it to great extremes.
Even the covering of head, when did it start? Like anybody who enters the shrine has to cover his head, otherwise they don't
It might
allow.
have been done at that time because that was a traditional Sikh way or Indian way of respecting a holy person. Going barefoot and covering your head was just the tradition of that time. It's very cultural. So that seems logical that they might have done that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you take it to extremes where you yell at people, or you yell at someone because the head isn't fully covered in the Gurdwara and make a big scene out of it, then you should think about when Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to Makkah and had his feet in the wrong direction. And the people yelled at him, he told them the real lesson. God is everywhere, don't just get too hung up about these kinds of things.
I think the line to really take home here is Bin Karma Ke Milele. Without inculcating good virtues and good actions, none of this is meaningful. So I think that's where our focus needs to be, because the role of Gurbani is to change our lives. And our thoughts create our actions, right? If we start thinking negatively, then those actions become negative. And Gurbani basically gives us good things to think about, to reflect upon. It's the light, it's the beacon that actually takes away the darkness of our thoughts. And I think that's what we need to focus upon. What is Gurbani saying? How is the negativity within me going to be dispelled if I listen to my Guru? How is my ego going to get dispersed? How are all the 5 things that are in me, the Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, how do I deal with them given Guru's wisdom? How is anger going to totally burn me if I keep on harboring it and creating walls? How is my sitting down for sadhana 2 hours in the morning, but having so much venom against even one human being become a roadblock to my spiritual progress? I think those are the things we need to focus upon. That how are my actions going to be guided by the Guru's wisdom? How are my actions going to help me evolve into the kind of human that my Guru wants me to become, because my goal is to merge back with that Akal Purakh. To me, that's all there is to it. And Gurbani says that Vaheguru's qualities are endearing to Vaheguru. O gun Vaheguru nu paande. Not because Vaheguru is some big egoist or egotist like us, because those are the guns that are going to purify us and bring the... We're not doing this for somebody else. Take forgiveness, for example. We don't forgive people because, we are being kind to them. Forgiveness is needed for our own healing. That's another subject. But it's so important to forgive people so that that anger and that hurt doesn't corrode us and become a poison that keeps on gnawing at our soul and making us angry all the time. All of those things really become the roadblocks to our spiritual progress. And that is what I think the Guru says, that our good actions of being compassionate, of being kind, of being forgiving, of living in remembrance. Over and over again, it's the same message. Then become that, become that. मत विच रतन जवाहर मानक जे एक गुर की सिख सुने. There are jewels, there are pearls in the mind that are awakened, that shine and that become lustrous when I listen to my Guru. एक सिख, एक चीज मैं गुरु दी मान ली, एक गल मैं गुरु दी सुन ली. And what is that one thing? Surrender. Coming to surrender. This whole thing about matha teko. What is it? I give up my mat and take the Guru's wisdom. But let's not stop there just at the action. Every day. Why is it important to read Sri Guru Granth Sahib every day? Why is it important to read that Vak morning and evening? Because it keeps you on that straight and narrow. It's that little pagdandi, that little shortcut through all the wilderness. Those roads are created, when you go hiking, those little paths and those little signs that say don't wander off because there's poison ivy here and there's maybe bobcat somewhere else. Just stay on the path. And that's what reading, reflecting and following Gurbani does. It keeps us on the straight and the narrow every day. And that's why it's very important to go to the Guru every day, morning and evening, and read one page or the Vak or two paragraphs. But see, that is why it's the Guru's hukam for that day. What is he saying to you? Everything you think, every thought of yours, andar baitha knows andar jana. For me, I know that he's constantly bringing me back. Every time I'm going off somewhere else, thodi ji chaat pendi hai, thodi ji daan pendi hai. And it's brought back, a little shaking up, a little awakening. What are you thinking? What are you doing? Come back. And to me, that is how Sri Guru Granth Sahib becomes the Guru. When you really listen and follow and correct yourself. Don't let your thoughts wander off. There's a lot of people that say that, I know what it is to be a good human being. I know what it is to do. I don't have to read the Guru. I don't have to go to the Gurdwara. I don't need Sangat. We all know, I know what it is to do. I'm doing it. No, not at all. Because we're all full of follies. And we're all human and we all make mistakes. And we are not cognizant of our own mistakes most of the time. Because we think we are right. And that's why the need to be with Sangat, that is the Tirath. Satguru is the Tirath, Gurbani says. Being in Sat Sangat is the real Tirath. Because it rubs off. Because being in that environment, look at it in any other aspect of life. You hang out with people. I always say you start dressing like them, you start talking like them, you start using those phrases, you watch TV for a while and it sort of becomes part of your consciousness. So that's what happens in Satsanga. Wherever there is Naam, wherever there is Simran, wherever there is Bani, it seeps into you and slowly brings about that transformation. But you have to reflect, you have to be mindful about it, you have to be constantly vigilant about what you are doing. Otherwise it's so easy to get caught up in the vengefulness, the revengefulness, the ego, the lust, the anger, There is
the
so...
major things it brings you is that self-awareness, looking at yourself all the time.
holds up a mirror to you.
Yeah.
In fact,
does it apply to me? Is what I'm doing consistent with what I'm reading every day?
right. Right. You know, in another line, in Guru Granth Sahib, I remember the Guru saying that the light of God dwells in you like a mirror, darpan ki hai, like a mirror. You have to look into it and see what you are doing wrong and not just look away. And then those jewels inside your mind, those jewels are the virtues of a Kalpuruk that are also there in you, because you're part of that light, you're part of that consciousness, you're part of that spirit. Just like Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar is there in you, so are the other jewels. So is the light. It's just that it's kind of dimmed. It's become murky. It's become, it's not a flame that is radiant. It's flickering because the winds outside are blowing at it and are making it weak. And that's why we have to be very careful, and with the love of the Guru and the essence of the Naam, make that flame within us strong and make those jewels within us shine and become lustrous by listening to the Guru's wisdom, imbibing it and bringing it into our lives. Man mat vich ratan jawahar manak, je ik gur ki sikh suni. And then he comes back to the same lines of the last Pauri, Gura ik de bujai. Give me this one understanding. Sabna jiya ka ik data, so main visarna jai. If I live in remembrance of that Lord who has created everyone and everything. You know, the longer I live, the more I realize that underneath all our differences, we are one. We really are one. Our spirit is the same. And our personalities are so different. Our inspiration to walk on the path of spirituality may come from different prophets, whether it's Muhammad or Jesus Christ or whoever. But underneath the diversity of faiths and the diversity of humans is that unity of a Kalpuruk, of oneness. And unless we honor that oneness, Gura ik de bujai, sabna jiyan ka ik data, so main visarna jai. I don't want to forget that we are all part of that light. We are all part of that oneness. We are all part of that pure consciousness. And I need to respect that goodness in you, that oneness that you and I are all a part of. And which manifests in the strangest of ways. I think that I'm an island. What is happening to you doesn't affect me, but not true at all, as we've seen. You know, in recent times. Whatever happens anywhere in the world, directly or indirectly, sooner or later affects us. The greed of a handful of people has brought the economy of the world down. Just one example. Tsunamis across the oceans have had their repercussions here. So, sabna jiyan ka ik data, so main visarna jai. I need to remember that one that dwells in everyone. Oh, Namakuna. When I remember that, when I live in that remembrance, my actions will be guided by that light. Do we have time to do another one?
How much time do you have? You have to go also.
I have to go also. I think it's enough. I thought we'll cover the other one also, but I think I would like Vichi to give his comments, and you too, and Lena, and let's talk a little bit about how we can extrapolate from this and make our lives or live our lives according to the teachings of the Guru. I think that's the essence of this. That let me listen to the Sikhya, to the teaching of my Guru. And if one of those gems comes into my heart and dwells there, my own luster and my own radiance will start shining. That's really what it is.
This line is repeated multiple times in Japji Sahib itself, no?
Twice.
Twice, okay.
Sabna jiyan ka ik data.
But you see that same thing many other places. Sab mein rab rahe, aap rabe ko, ek dekna nanak ek sai. Starts with na ko dari nahi koi rana. seeing God in everybody. That's actually at the heart of all Sikh ethics. All morality is seeing the light of God in everybody. Everything else kind of flows from that. Think of all the guna, etc. They all kind of, the central theme is this. You can see God in everybody, then your actions will all be good and you'll have a hesitation against doing anything bad to anybody. Thinking bad thoughts about everybody.
Also knowing that whatever good virtues and good qualities I have are because of God's grace. And I am fortunate that, and I truly feel very blessed that I have the Sikh Granth Sahib to go to every day, at least twice a day, for my morning walk and for the Sukhasana. And twice I get to hear the words directly from the Guru's mouth. And many times, many times, more often than not, they are exactly what I need to hear that day. From the time I was, I think I was in my early 20s. I don't know if there is time, but I just want to share a personal story from the time when I was my son's age, in my 20s, probably 22, 23. And I've shared this many times with the campers, IGS camps, that being a student of literature and a student of philosophy, I was very much under the influence of some of these logicians like Bertrand Russell. Very strong logic. He had written a book called Why I'm Not a Christian, and one of his essays started with this: religion is not only false, it is harmful. And he called believing in God a crutch of the blind, and that if prayer gave us what we wanted, then we basically shared in the omnipotence of God. And I started thinking, wow, on the one hand, there was Papa teaching me everything about Gurbani and, giving me the love of the Guru and the teachings, and the other, the strong, influence of other writers that were basically non-believers, right? And I went through a period where I said, you know what, this just makes so much sense, that this faith and everything is a blind man's crutch, and none of this makes sense, and we have to be strong, and it's all random, and etc., etc. In my head, I started believing that. But in my heart, when I started thinking on those lines, there was, what did I want to, I still remember, there was a hollowness. There was almost, I can say, sadness. And it was almost as if the purpose of my life was sort of missing. And I went through that phase for some time. I don't remember exactly how. And then one day, I went to the Guru and I prayed. And I said, Babaji, I don't know what's right or wrong. Bertrand Russell says one thing, and Gurbani says another. And I am too, stupid, too, uneducated to even know what is the truth and what is not. And I said, if it is true that believing in you is like being a blind person with a crutch, then let me become that. Because without you, I'm lost. This was my prayer. And I remember the walk I got was, Hum antale ko gur ancha. And I remember that was the first time that I felt this direct response. And people can say it was coincidental or whatever, but I remember from there onwards, there was no turning back for me. For me, it was always going to the Guru with my problems, with my issues, with my doubts, and always getting a very, very direct response.
So I think relating to what we were discussing just before also, the
Antle Gopur Anshul, DJ, right? DJ.
Jannana Chalana.
Jannana. Yeah.
So I believe, see, in the spiritual, if you look at the two spiritual realm, and if we see, we are very fortunate that when we go read Guru Granth Sahib Ji, we can understand. We have this resources. There are so many people out there who will listen to Gurbani, but they're coming to Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, but they don't understand,
Yeah.
right? And they also, I mean, if you look at the true spiritual way, and you look at there's a light in Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, they also have their own stories, right? So then we talk about, like you were saying, there are people do rituals. So I think, so then those people are the one who actually, they start believing those rituals, right? For them, the mathadik, for them doing those things, because for them, they can't do the exact meanings, they can't do, but they still see the light in there in some way, right? I still was thinking about the previous discussion we had about rituals and
Rituals are not all bad in
Yeah.
themselves. It's when the rituals get too much importance and they replace the real spirituality is where the problem comes.
And you think your
Matter of
redemption
priorities.
lies in them.
If they can actually take you away from the real spirituality because that becomes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You can fight over it and people can argue about who's doing rituals right and who's doing them wrong. And I'm a better
That's
saint
the-
than you do
that's
these
bad.
things and you don't. So they can be a very negative force. And the Guru talks a lot against religiosity, but for spirituality. And there's a difference between
that's
the
right.
two.
I think that's the
And
point.
religion as an organized religion with its rituals has been a very negative thing also. All kinds of wars that happen because of it, torture happens because of it, hatred happens because of religion. But that's not real religion, that's the religiosity aspect.
That's the self-righteousness.
Yeah, but I think to save all the whatever treasure is in there, it has to be called some religion. It has to be called some. There has to be panth. There has to be dharam.
There has to be
There's a
There has
path,
to be
there's a
rules
Sikhi.
to it. But then people will start misusing it.
I
because
think it
they
should
don't
be
have-
values rather than rules, that's the difference.
Anji?
The difference between
Because everybody
values
can't-
and rules. See, the religions got focused on do's and don'ts. Sins and pap and pun. And Gurbani tells you very strongly for gun and upgun the passe kar dene, base kar dene, duje passe pap pun the against hai. Because the pap pun the piche jaओ तो it take the other way. So if you get into this, I'm doing good deeds, I'm doing bad deeds, and you get focused on that, and that can be a big distraction. If you get into, I'm going to be a good person, listen to the Guru, do good things, see God in everybody, avoid all bad qualities, काम करो, लोभ, अहंकार, that's kind of following the Guru. But if you get caught up in the specific things, you're doing this thing will give me pun, I'll get more in the next life because I did so many puns, and this thing is a sin, who's done it is a sinner, you get tied up in that stuff. That's a big distraction. So there's a subtle difference between the two, between real religion and spirituality and the what I'm
Which you
calling
wanna add to
religiosity.
I guess someone is just very quiet.
It's a key. Focusing on good deed or bad deed. See, ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. I don't even know what's good deed or bad deed. ਉਹਨੇ ਜਾ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਮਾ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ
What is pleasing to you?
ਅੱਛਾ
So the Tirth
ਹੁਣ
is the important part is rather
ਲਹਿਣਾ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਪੇੜ ਤੇ ਚੜ ਜਾ ਤੇ ਲਾ ਤੇ ਮਿਠਾਈ ਟਿੱਕੀ ਅੱਛਾ ਹੁਣ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪੇੜ ਤੇ ਮਿਠਾਈ ਤੋਂ ਡਿੱਗੀ ਤੇ ਸਭ ਨੇ ਮਨਾ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਲਹਿਣਾ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਠਾਈ ਦੇਣਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਰਡਰ ਇਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਪੇੜ ਤੇ ਚੜ ਜਾ ਤੇ ਟਾਨਿਓ ਨੇ ਲਾ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਫੋਲੋਇੰਗ ਦੀ ਆਰਡਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਮਾ ਚਾਹੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਨਾਮਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਨਾਮ ਇਜ਼ ਨੇਮ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਨਾਮਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾਨ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਵਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾਨ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਵਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾਨ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਵਾ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਮਾ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਵਿਣ ਪਾਣੇ ਕੇ ਨਾਏ ਕਰੇ ਜੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਸੰਦ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਨਾ
There's no need to be.
then I don't need to ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਇਆ ਹੋਰ ਤੀਰਥ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਇਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਮਣ ਜਾਓ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਤੀਰਥ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਅੰਤਰ ਗਿਆਨ ਸੋ ਤੀਰਥ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੇ ਹੀ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਤੀਰਥ ਜਾਓ ਤਾਂ ਹੋ ਕਰਦੇ पंडित माया अहमद अहंग बोध राते सो कहते जे तीरथ जाके हों करनी बच जानी है ते और 68 तीरथ लौकी 68 तीरथ ना आए कबीर दास जी एक बार कोई जा रहे सी बंदे कहते ने तीरथ चलने ते कबीर दास तुसी चलो वो कहते ने मैं नहीं जाना ये मेरी लौकी लै
लौकी is what?
इट्स ए ਸੋ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਕੱਦੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਗੂੜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦੇ ਕਿ ਨਾਮ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਬੜਾ ਕੌੜਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਟਸ ਲੁਕਸ ਲਾਈਕ ਸ਼ੇਪ ਆਫ ਲੌਕੀ ਦਾ ਕਬੀਰ ਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਖਾਓ ਤੇ ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਲੌਕੀ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈ ਇਟਸ ਲਾਈਕ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਖਾਓ ਤੇ ਬੜੀ ਕੌੜੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਤੀਰਥ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਨਾ 68 ਤੀਰਥ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਨਵਾਉਣਾ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਨਵਾ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਆਏ ਕਬੀਰ ਦਾਸ ਮਿਲੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾ ਆਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਲੌਕੀ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਲੌਕੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਛਕਾਇਆ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਸੋ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕੱਟ ਕੇ ਲੌਕੀ ਵੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੋੜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ what he is trying to teach out of this ਇਹ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਹੈਗਾ ਲੌਕੀ ਅਰਸਰ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾ ਆਏ ਕੌੜਾਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਨਾ ਜਾਏ ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਕਪਟ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਕਪਟ ਮੁਖ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਜੇ ਕਪਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਤੇ ਤੀਰਥਾਂ ਦੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਠੀਕ
ਇਟਸ ਆਲ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਫਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ
ਅੱਛਾ ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਣਾ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਗੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹਦੇ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜੀ ਕੀ ਵਰਡ ਹੈਗਾ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਪਸੰਦ ਹੈ would Guru Sahib do this today if he is here if he is sitting in this meeting ਜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵੀ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਮਾ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਧੀ ਰਾਤੀ ਉਠਾ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਏ ਨੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਬਾਰਿਸ਼ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕੱਲ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੇ ਆਣਾ ਹੈ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੀਵਾਰ ਲਾ ਦੇ ਹੋਰ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਮਝਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਰਾਤੀ ਉੱਠੇ ਤੇ ਚੂਹੀ ਮਰੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਚੂਹੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਸੁੱਟ ਦਿਓ ਹੁਣ ਚੂਹੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਸੁੱਟਣਾ ਇਸ ਆਰਡੀਨਰੀ ਥਿੰਗ ਪਰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਇਜ਼ ਫਰੋਮ ਅ ਹਾਈ ਕਾਸਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਮ ਨੇ ਝਾੜੂ ਦੇਣਾ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਫਾਰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਓਨਲੀ ਇਨ 7 years ਹੀ ਵਾਸ ਟੋਟਲੀ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਫਾਰਮ ਅੱਛਾ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਏ ਰਾਤੀ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਰ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਸ਼ੂਦਰ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਪੁੱਤਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਨੌਕਰਾਂ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਉਠਾ ਸੁੱਟ ਜਾ ਬਾਹਰ ਦੀਵਾਰ ਬਣਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਬਾਰਿਸ਼ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਬਣਾ ਦਿਆਂਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੇ ਆਣਾ ਤੇ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਬਾਰਿਸ਼ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਉਹ ਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਟ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਮਿੱਟੀ ਡਿੱਗੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੁਕਰ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਬਾਰਿਸ਼ ਨਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਦੀਵਾਰ ਬੜੀ ਜਲਦੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਣੀ ਸੀ ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਟੁੱਟਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੁਕਮ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਵਾ ਇਹ ਨਾਲ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੇ ਬੜੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਮਾ ਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਪਾਵਾਂ ਜੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਤੀਰਥ ਹੈ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
Only the speaker will be through that. But then the distance is a little less anyway, so that
Yeah.
I don't know if you can have both working, we can have that one. If you need a mixer, separate mixer. Because the microphone is there and you're only using that. Then you switch around to others asking questions, you won't hear much.
Yes.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਅੱਛਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ
So I well, actually, what I did to prepare for this talk is I was when I made a fun, when Vijay told me that I can go ahead and do it. At that time, I think I was at 350 page on my Sahaj part. So now I'm at 1200 page. So while I was doing my Sahaj part, I was taking shabads and notes on Sahaj, and I was taking notes. So I just collected them together and I put them in here. So that's it. And this is, so before we get into, mostly I have a collection of shabads on Sahaj from Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And before that, before we delve into what Guru Granth Sahib Ji has about Sahaj, some other resources on the literal meaning of Sahaj. So from the Professor Sahib Singh Ji translation, the Sahaj is, he does it like Sah means Saath, Janal, Saath, Nal, Janmya, Sahaj. ਸਹਿਜ ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਹੋਏ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਉਹ ਸੁਭਾਅ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਹੈ, that inherent nature which is born with you. ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਅਰਥ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਸੁਧ ਸ਼ੁਭ ਆਤਮਾ ਦਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਅਸਲੀ ਧਰਮ, that's what you have sense ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਆਤਮਾ ਦਾ. Then there is other meaning they have. This is ਮਾਇਆ ਦੇ ਤਿੰਨਾਂ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੰਘ ਕੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਦੀ ਅਵਸਥਾ, means ਮਾਇਆ ਦੇ ਤਿੰਨ ਗੁਣ ਰਜੋ ਤਮੋ ਸਤੋ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਉੱਪਰ ਦੀ ਅਵਸਥਾ ਵੀ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਉੱਪਰ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਵਸਥਾ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, when you are all in accordance to what the one and only wants you to be, at that ਅਵਸਥਾ ਉਹ ਵਾਲੀ ਅਵਸਥਾ ਹੈ, ਤਿੰਨਾਂ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੰਘ ਕੇ ਅਵਸਥਾ, ਆਤਮਕ ਅਡੋਲਤਾ ਦੀ ਅਵਸਥਾ, that's Sahaj. And at some places he also refers to as the Atmak Shanti, Atmak Shanti the avastha. So that's what he has in as a Sahib Singh Ji has. Mahan Kosh dictionary ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈਗੇ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲਾ, ਜੋ ਨਾਲ ਜੰਮੇ, ਸੁਭਾਵਿਕ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੁਦਰਤੀ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਹੈ, which is naturally there. So one that is born with you, that's Sahaj.